What's up, jackalopes? I'm Hope, and today I'm going to be putting together my September TBR. I'm doing it differently this month, though. If you've visited my channel before, you may know that I normally play a TBR game called TBR Betrayal to build my TBRs, and normally I would be filming this over there by my bookcase. However, September is Bookoplathon, which is a readathon hosted by Becca and the Books, in which everybody plays her TBR game, Bookopoly. She's got a special board just for this readathon, and so I'm going to be doing that instead. And I am filming this very early in the month. I wouldn't normally do this, but I just am really excited, and I want to, join in on the hype that's happening right now with people building their TBRs. So that's why we're doing this on the 20th and not like the 30th of August. So anyway, I'm planning to follow Becca's normal rules for Bookopoly, so I'll be rolling 5 times, and I will be adding an additional roll for any doubles that I get. So this is why I'm doing this instead of like combining it with my own game. I know that Bookopoly can end up giving you a lot of books, and while I do want to challenge myself and I do want to read a lot in September to get caught up with my Goodreads goal, I don't want to suffer that much. So we're just doing Bookopoly, and I think those are all of the rules you need to know. I've got a board to kind of keep track of what I've rolled, but let's just dive into this. I am going to be playing this in a little bit weird way. You will see in a moment what I mean. But I do have my 2 6-sided die and my little token, which I don't know if it'll zoom in on it, but I've got a little cat stitch marker. It'll be more obvious when we get to the game. So yeah, let's just start rolling. Okay, so here's the board, and if it looks like it's on a screen, that's because it is. It's on my tablet screen, and you can see now we have our little cat token. But I'm doing it this way because I couldn't get my printer to print anything, which also means I don't have any cards. So instead, I have a list of 20 books that I'm going to use for my chance cards. I'll just randomly generate a number because I already have that for my regular TBR game. And I also already have a database of prompts. There's 60 of them. So I'll generate a number between 1 and 60 if I get a community shelf tile. So that is the plan, and I think that's all we need to know. Start with roll 1. And we got a 6 and a 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Which is the monsters prompt. That one's really interesting. I think I can make this work. But the first prompt I got was monsters, and this is for a book with monsters characters or some sort of creature or anything like that. And I ended up taking this to be a book that includes monsters, and I've chosen Light from Uncommon Stars by Rekka Aoki, and this one is a kind of sci-fi fantasy following 3 women in San Gabriel Valley in California. One of them is a violinist, and she has sold her soul to the devil or to some sort of demon, and in order to free herself she must convince 7 other people to sell their souls. And so, first of all, there's demons, or devils of some variety in this book, but another one of the women is a violinist, a young trans woman who the first character sets her sights on as her next and her final person that she needs to convince to sell their soul to save herself. And then there is a third woman who I believe is a like a retired or possibly disgraced spaceship captain. So there are also aliens in this book, including, I believe there's a donut shop owned by aliens. So I'm gonna count this for monsters because it does have demons and aliens. So it does have creatures, and it didn't say they needed to be evil creatures. So that's that. So roll number 2 is a 3 and a 2. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2. This is Who, which I believe is like a book you've not heard of. I will double check the rules on that when I go to pick the book. The next prompt I got was Who, and this one is apparently a book that you haven't heard anybody talk about or have not heard very many people talk about. And so I've actually picked a new release for this. This is Velvet Was the Night by Sylvia Moreno-Garcia. This just came out on Tuesday, and my copy just arrived today, actually. And because it's a new release, I haven't heard anybody talking about it yet. I haven't even really heard that much hype about it. I know a lot of her other books have been hyped, and I think that's because a lot of them are more fantasy oriented or horror. This one is a noir set in Mexico in the 1970s, following two people who are both looking for the same missing woman. One of them is a thug who is looking for her on the orders of his shadowy boss, and the other is a young woman who is, I think, a secretary. Yeah, so she's a secretary and she's really bored with her life and becomes obsessed with the missing woman who was her neighbor. So it's about those two people and their kind of obsession with the missing woman, and also their increasing closeness with each other. So I'm really interested to read this one. Again, I haven't heard anything about it at this point, but Sylvia Moreno Garcia is basically an auto-buy author for me now because I just love her writing so much. So I was very excited to be able to fit this one in. And we have a double. Okay, so we got a 4 and a 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and we got a chance card. So a double whammy there. I have no control over anything that's happening here. And I'll just quickly, I already pulled up a random number generator because I thought this might happen. I'm going to randomly generate a number between 1 and 20. It's currently giving me 3, but let's generate a new one. Number 4. Okay. What is number 4? Then I got a chance card, and it was Ashes of the Sun by Django Wexler, which I have here. And I know almost nothing about this book. I know it follows, I believe, two siblings on opposite sides of a civil war or some sort of conflict similar. And that is everything I know about it. I think it also has a sapphic relationship. My friend mentioned that because this is a book that she's also really wanting to read. Yeah, that's everything I know about this book. I am excited to read it. That's it. It was a chance card. That's all I have to say. There it is. Okay, on to roll 4 of now 6. We got, looks like a 5 and a 6. Yep, okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. And now we have a community shelf. So I will be generating another number. This one will be between 1 and 60. And just so you all can see it, number 44. Let me figure out what that is. So I'm actually gonna have to like scroll for. Oh, okay. It is, I don't know if it's again going to be visible, but it is a used book. Here it is. Sorry, I'm directionally challenged. Next up, I had a used book, and for this I chose The Pale Horse by Agatha Christie several years ago, and by several I mean I was in like middle school. I used to work at the Friends of the Library bookstore in my hometown, and I used to volunteer there regularly because my mom was a member of the Friends of the Library, so she would volunteer and I'd go with her and help out. But one of the things that we could do, because I usually helped out during the annual sale that they had, which was like this massive thing. People came from all over to come to this like small bookstore. But you could set aside books in the back for yourself if there was something that you wanted to buy, and then you could get them at the end of the day. So I found a ton of Agatha Christie's. I had read 1 or 2 of her books at some point, or maybe I had just encountered them from the library or something. But I got really interested in her writing, and I pulled a ton of Agatha Christie books that day. I think I brought home like 10 or 15 Agatha Christie's, but I ended up getting rid of most of them. I've either read them or just have decided that I'm not as interested as I was, but I do really want to read this one because there is a mini series on Amazon that I would like to be able to watch, and I always feel like I want to read the book before I watch the movie or the mini series. So that is my used book. On to roll 5 of 6. That's a 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And we got a big book, a book over 500 pages. Next up I had Big Book, and for this one I'm going to be reading The Grace of Kings by Ken Liu. This is, I believe, a silkpunk epic fantasy. That is everything I know about it. It pulls from Chinese history. I cannot remember the name of the time period that it pulls from. If I can find it, I will put it on the screen. But somebody said it in a video and I could not remember it when I went to like pull this out. So anyway, it's following two men who I believe start out very close in this book and then grow apart or something. I'm not certain. I know it's got a lot of political elements to it, and it spans a massive number of years. So very similar to Ashes of the Sun. I know very little about this book, but I am really excited to read this. And also, Tammy Tries to Read and Sufficiently Advanced Lena are co-hosting a read-along of this series in preparation for the third book coming out in November. So I did want to read this to participate in that because I have never done a read-along before. So, and this has been sitting on my shelf, so it's time to get to it. And let's see, this should be the final roll unless we get another double. Nope, that is the final roll. 1 and 2. Which actually 1, 2, 3 puts us on go, which is randomizer TBR. So I get to actually generate another number. But I have a random number generator in a spreadsheet of all of my books. So I normally use a d20 for this, but I am just going to randomly generate a number between 1 and 20. This seems the easiest for this. And it gave us number 19. So I will find the first book in my spreadsheet that comes up with the number 19. And then the very last one I got was a randomizer TBR, and the first book that came up was actually one that was like further in a series that I had already read. So I didn't pull that one. But the next book that came up under the number 19 was How to Be an Anti-Racist by Dr. Ibram X. Kendi. And yeah, I'm looking forward to reading this one. I've been trying to read more nonfiction this year. I've not really been succeeding, but I do think that this one will be really interesting. Oh my god, there are my tabs! I've been looking for these everywhere. Okay, that answers that. I read like a chapter of this a little while back, and then I just didn't have time to actually get to it. I did want to wait until I had the time to devote to this book, so I am looking forward to reading this one. I've heard excellent things about this, and that there's both some really good information and like some kind of concrete ways you can work from Dr. Kendi's ideas to be an anti-racist. I've also heard it's partially a memoir, and that was the kind of vibe that I got from the first chapter that I did read. So I am very excited to pick this one up. I think that this is going to be a very valuable resource, and I can't wait to really just read this and start digesting this information, because I do think it's really important. So I'm actually thrilled that that was the one that came up for number 19. I think it's a nice balance too. It gives me some nonfiction to go with all of the fantasy that I have, because most of these are fantasy of some variety. But those are all the books that I need to read for Bookoplathon, and yeah, I'm really happy with the selection. I'm also very intimidated because look at that. 2 of these books alone, this one and this one, are over 1,000 pages total, and I have no idea what the page counts for the rest of these are. So yeah, it's a lot. But I feel like I can do it if I really devote myself to actually tackling it, and I am very excited to read all of these. These are all things that I was wanting to get to soon anyway, so it has really worked out for me, and I am happy. So thanks so much for watching this video, and if you liked it, I hope you'll consider, you know, giving this video a like, maybe subscribing to stick around and see what happens next. But regardless, thanks again for watching, and I hope to see you in the next one. Bye. Fuck.